Hi, how are you today? Welcome to I Love What I Do TV show. And today I am speaking on behalf of Miss Cherry and myself of WINOR organization, nonprofit organization for domestic violence. And on today's show, we have Miss Juressa, the Duchess Mc Bride. And I met this lovely soul artist in Memphis at the Just Blues Awards. And I learned about her story on domestic violence. So she is here today to share her story.
Hello, everyone. My name is Juressa Mc Bride.
And there it is.
And
And she's a soul artist. You out of Mississippi, correct?
yes, I am. I'm
Okay.
out of Vicksburg, Mississippi.
Okay, and she's here today to share her story with domestic violence and her experiences. So we're going to get straight to the point this morning. Juressa, you want to start off by telling us what happened or how did domestic violence start in your life?
Sure. First of all, thank you for having me on the show as well because I feel like it's very important to spread the word because there's so many people out there that need to be inspired and especially that can kind of, cope with someone else that has already been through that situation as well.
Right,
So
right.
I hope that my story could help someone else to continue on and be able to get the help that they need.
Correct.
But my situation started in October 2010, and I had been dating a guy for 3 years, and I decided, to call off the relationship. We didn't have any abuse going on in the relationship. Actually, the incident happened 2 months after we had went our separate ways. And so that particular incident started. He came, they broke in my home maybe 2, 3 something in the morning, and he kicked in the door and just instantly started beating me in my face and all in my head. And the last lick that he gave me, it knocked me all the way to the kitchen. And I remember I was just hollering out, God, please help me, God, please help me,
Uh-huh.
And then he ran out the house and left the door wide open. So then I made sure that my kids were locked up in the room because I didn't want them to, see me in such a situation because I could feel my face swelling, and I called 911.
Uh-huh.
But when I talked to 911, I gave them his description and what kind of vehicle he was in and the address to where he lived. And they went straight and they picked him up.
Oh, really?
I didn't. Yes, they did. They did. I told them everything that they needed to know. And after I got off the phone with 911, I called my family. Of course, my family was just devastated. They came over. My mom and my brother. They came over and took me to the hospital because I refused to get in the ambulance because I didn't have no one to watch my children.
Right, right.
So they took me to the hospital, and I went to the hospital, where I live, and they ran X-rays, and they went as far as telling me that I had contusions in my head and a broken finger that they couldn't fix. So they pretty much wrapped me up and sent me home.
Uh-huh.
And a week after that, I was still having excruciating pain.
Uh-huh.
And my mom told me, she said, this is not right. We need to go, seek help elsewhere. So we went to UMC in Jackson, Mississippi, and they had a number of doctors to come in. I knew it had to be something strange for that many doctors to come in and, run and test. So after they ran all the tests, what had happened was I ended up with nerve damage.
Oh.
I had contusions, on my head,
Uh-huh.
in the scalp area. He had shattered my eye socket.
Oh, man.
And he broke my finger, broke my pinky finger completely.
Uh-huh.
So what that resulted in, I had to have 2 screws in my pinky finger. I still have nerve damage now. A lot of people don't know it,
Right.
because the left side of my face is still slightly numb. It just has tingling effects, where feelings are trying to come back, but not quite. So we had the surgery, and the surgery was successful. And a year after that, I started having the same feeling on the left side of my face that I had as if I had just recently been hurt. So we decided to go back to my surgeon. And when we went back and they ran tests, they saw that that eye socket had collapsed again.
Oh, really?
And the reason why it had collapsed is they didn't want to put an implant in it at the time because they didn't know whether or not it was going to shift my eye or anything. So what they decided to do this time was put in a plastic implant, which was very successful. I had Dr. Blevins at UMC. He's the head of surgeon, head of plastic surgeon there, and he's just amazing. You can't even look in my face until I've had surgery.
Right, you can't.
But
right.
What really got me with this, I always tell people that one incident can give you a lifetime of pain.
Right.
Every time I feel a headache, that thought comes around my head like, okay, is this going to happen again? Even though that happened in 2010, I had to have surgery, again last year in 2012.
Right.
So, I mean, it's nothing that just goes away. You can't throw it away and forget about it because, you move on with your life, but it's not going to be a day that goes by that it don't cross your mind. It still crosses your mind. And so, therefore, the thing that I want to tell people is this. When people do things to you like that, don't walk off. You need to legally handle the situation.
Right.
And because we legally handled the situation, and my mom, she went to the train, she got the Attorney General involved. Anyone who was willing to help.
Right.
She did that. She got the Attorney General involved. We had pictures. We had documents. And the reason why we had to get the Attorney General involved because some of the pictures that we were taking to the police department were coming up missing.
Oh, really?
Well, the sad thing about it was that his brother used to be a police officer.
Oh.
So we kind of like connected the two together. So even though stuff like that was going on, we didn't let that stop us. So we went straight to the Attorney General. We got in touch with them. We didn't have to go through the trial period, but because he didn't want to take me through, have to go to court and explain over and over again about what happened.
Right.
So anyway, the guy who did that to me, he has 8 years in prison. He's doing 8 years for aggravated assault. Mississippi doesn't have the attempted murder law here, so they do the aggravated assault. So he's serving 8 years, and I moved on with my life, and obviously, they have moved on with their life. I don't have any contact, even though it has been times where he has tried to contact me, but I don't communicate with him.
Right.
His family doesn't communicate with me because it seems like they're angry at me because he's in jail for something that he did. Which is very, very stupid, but nobody cares, That's the attitude that I have about that situation because it could have been turned around where I couldn't have made it out.
Yeah, you're right about that. And then, like you say, you know your kids, right is right and wrong is wrong. If it was my son, I would be pretty angry at him for doing something like that. It's no way I could be mad at the female, and even if it was vice versa, my daughter, beating up on the guy, because stuff happens nowadays where it's not only the women so much at times, it's the men too. But like I say, right is right and wrong is wrong. But
I remember not too long after that incident, with my situation, I never went through a period of feeling guilty for myself or wanting to drop charges because I know a lot of people, they have this thing, okay, I don't want to go through this, I'm just going to drop charges. That's the wrong thing to do.
Right.
You should just stay steadfast and unremovable and do what you have to do because it could have been the other way around. But I remember he called me one time right after that incident and I answered the phone. I had been praying about it.
Right.
And I answered the phone, and he's like, I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened, why I did it. And I told him, I said, it's okay. I say, I forgive you. She was like, you forgive me, you just don't know what that means. I said, yeah. I say, but it's not for you. I said, the forgiveness is for me so I can move forward and go on like I need to.
But do they know everything that happened to you in that incident, the family and him also?
Yes, I told them everything. And his mom, she couldn't believe it. Me and his mom, we were friends. We worked together for years, you know, in the same place. And she know how she raised her son.
Right.
That's just a prime example of how people raise their sons. And no matter what they do, she still has their back. And I just feel like wrong is wrong.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
Had you had a daughter and that happened to you, or had someone did your son like that, then you have a reason to be upset and defend them. But when it's your son or your daughter that goes out and do that to another human being,
right.
and you know how dramatic it was, and you still defend them, that makes you even more guilty than them.
Right. And then
that's
a lot of people,
I feel about
right.
it.
A lot of people snap,
like I said,
you know.
I've moved on from the situation.
Right.
I don't mind spreading the story to everyone. And, you know, I'm on Facebook. So every year around that time when the anniversary day comes around, I do put up the pictures. I put up the pictures of, you know, of my face messed up and everything to let people know, hey, I'm just not glamorous on the stage. I have to live life as well. So I want to share my story because there's someone else that might need to listen to this story.
I'm glad that you took the time out to share your story because, you know, a lot of people, they can't because, you know, the other person sometimes, you know, and I understand that, you know, I would never air something that nobody wants to leak out. I would never do that. So I'm really glad that you are because me and Cherry are working hard with some of the domestic violence safe houses, you know, trying to do some things in our own separate towns, cities, or states, I should say. She's out of state, you know, but we work together good. You know, we have 1-800 lines set up and different things. And it's just a part that we're doing for support and try to pull some other people in, advocates and so forth, because Cherry, you know, she has been through that for about 13 years back in time, and she was stabbed like over 12 times, something like that, you know, and she survived that along with some other things that was going on. And, you know, I had two relatives in my family that, you know, it's like a touchy situation. Yeah. But, you know, I'm still mad about it to this day, you know, but
in my hometown, we recently just lost a beautiful young lady. Last month, we lost a beautiful young lady to domestic violence.
Right.
And what happened was, I don't even think that the guy, they're assuming that it was the boyfriend, but they're not really sure because she never could come to tell them. But, you know, in small towns, everyone talks.
Right.
You know, and they haven't arrested anyone for that. But what he did was he set her on fire.
Oh, Lord.
And she got rushed to the hospital, and she was in a coma, and they said she was going through really well. She had been there for 2 months, and you know, we did plenty of fundraisers, and the organization from Port Gibson, these guys who have a rap group down there, they pulled together, and those guys, they really, really worked. They had car washes, food plate sales, dances, whatever it took, and they raised money for her medical bills and for her long travel back and forth to Atlanta to check on her. But, you know, it was just a really sad day when they got that phone call and said that she had passed away. And it was just a lot of emotions going on, people very angry. And, you know, people coming out saying, hey, she was in a bad domestic violence relationship. Her relationship was violent. But, hey, when you're not getting that help that you need, things turn out that way most of the time.
Right. And then a lot of times, you know, a lot of females, you know, like I say, it's males also, but for the majority of it, you know, they put in a restraining order. A lot of times it's even hard to get a restraining order because they look at you like, why do you need one? You know, and you have to have so many incidents.
And then, Right. I know here's the restraining orders. They don't last. They don't last long. I had a restraining order against this guy that's in jail now. I had a restraining order against him. And you know what he did? I went to Bible study one day, and who do you think I saw sitting up in the church? It was him. And, you know, my faith in God is very strong, but I couldn't attend that church any longer. You know, I couldn't. I'm like, at that point of time, you know, it had recently happened, and, you know, I just wasn't able to deal with that. But I'm like, a restraining order only protects so much.
Yeah, it does. And then even though you have a restraining order, when you call someone out for help, a lot of times, you know, they know that they're supposed to arrest that person because they only supposed to be so many feet from you, and they let them go and they let them go, and then things happen. And then if they come to the household and something's going on, you know, you might end up arrested because you know, defending yourself. You know, it's so crazy about how things go because, like, the incident that they showing about the was it Marissa Alexander, that incident to where, you know, everything is so crazy, you never know what's going to backfire on you.
Exactly.
But
exactly. And another thing is that I feel like people who aren't involved in domestic violence, I said, you know, it was a time where your neighbors, they would check on you, or if they saw you holler for help, they would call someone, you know. But now we're living in a time where people are like, okay, that's not my business. I'm not involved, you know.
But you know,
after my situation, I found out that my neighbors across the street in a whole other apartment building heard me holler for help and didn't help.
But that is because of past incidents to where people have called 911 and things like that, and then it leak out who called, and then, you know, they become victims of, you know, so things have changed so much. I guess back in the day, you know, communication wasn't as good, like phone service and, you know, the whole works. But now, you know, they can trace it back to you calling. So a lot of people don't like to get, you know, mixed in because of that. But we're gonna, you know, close out, and, you know, I'm glad that you had called to share your story. And for you out there that's listening, thank you for listening and tuning in. And make sure you tune in to www.ilovewhatido.com. That's LUV. And you will hear the story on the Duchess and see the pictures and that she's gonna submit to the Pantheress, so you can see, you know, get the whole picture of the story that she's telling today. So thank you, Miss Duchess.
Oh, and I have one more thing before you leave. The song that's on my album, Can Still Make It, that was the first song I wrote after the domestic violence, and it's dedicated to women and men who are going through domestic violence. So they're more than welcome to download just that single song for 99 cents in any digital store, and it's called Can Still Make It.
Okay, and we will play a clip of that so you can hear that also.
And thank you for having me on the show.
You said that you love me, but little I didn't know this could be my testimony, and still I just had to know. We were headed in different directions. You tried to take it all from me. Now the only space for affection is with my daughters and my family.
And I must say, Juressa is a very beautiful female. As you can see, gorgeous. Hairstyle and all, because that's the way the Duchess rolls.